Good morning, my name is Vincent Caravella and this is a presentation of my critical reflection based on my practicum experience of a 15-day block at Carlingford High School located in the northwest suburb of Sydney. The school itself is a co-educational state school between a Catholic primary and a state primary school with students from both seeking enrolment in the high school. The school has a high population of students with an English as an additional language dialect EALD background, making up over 72% of the fabric of the school population. The school's academic results are in line with the national average of the NAPLAN test. It has become very evident to me that self-reflection based on input from peers, mentors and students will play a critical role in my professional career as a teacher. I believe the value of feedback and feed forward and my ability to process these two aspects, the engagement of the students, will have a high impact on their academic progress. Each class I taught presented a different challenge, cutting across a number of aspects of teaching and learning, with the main challenge being the class majority of EALD students with the level of capabilities. This meant that the students needed personal goals and tailored opportunities to engage their learning. If my lessons were to have a progressive effect, ATSL indicates that EALD learners need to be targeted with the systematic and explicit instructions whilst varying on their scaling of beginning, emerging, developing and consolidating English. Some classes had quite disruptive and disengaged students with a negative learning attitude to the school. This meant it was difficult to engage and create a positive learning environment in which to address the EALD needs of the students. The main focus of my reflection is my Year 7 Textiles class. The classroom environment is a vital aspect of the learning process. Anything from the colour, the walls, the furniture can have an effect on the way students feel about their learning and the ability to focus on the teaching and exploration of the lesson content. I needed to ensure that my presence in the room was consistent with my expectation of the students. The personal well-being was a key consideration in the creation of a positive learning environment. I saw it as important to begin every lesson with greeting to the students, ask them how their day was as they walk into their learning space. I found this an excellent way to set a positive tone for the class. The connection with students engaged them where they were more strengthened the pastoral aspect of the student-teacher relationship. While they did not follow the popularized American YouTube video of the teacher with a secret handshake for every student, I consistently displayed an attitude of valuing each and every student in my class. Behaviour in the class was generally positive as my supervising teacher had established herself as an authoritarian figure in the classroom. My challenge was centred around being a young male pre-service teacher and how I could use this to my advantage. I maintained a calm, relaxed and professional atmosphere in the classroom environment by building good rapport with the students. Feedback from my tertiary supervisor referred to interactions with students was professional, students were treated with respect. I preferred a social learning approach with my focus on being a role model where students would see my behaviour as respectful and engaging and setting clear expectations for the lesson. This theory was especially effective during TAS teaching, where it was vital for students to correctly operate equipment for their own safety, the safety of others, and to complete the task at hand correctly. I found this approach best suited my personality, teaching style, and subject area. Dr. Rogers states you should never escalate a situation with a student. If they don't have a pen due to whatever, you should never assume the worst. Offer them a pen, offer them a piece of paper. You don't want to have a negative impact in the learning space environment. This was particularly helpful as I had one student, Henry, who would often come to class unprepared due to his unsettled start of the school year and his lack of knowledge of the English language, accompanied with unhelpful interactions with other professionals at the school. I would start every lesson with an open class discussion, sometimes with a Kahoot quiz, including quick revision from what they learnt from the last lesson. This helps consolidate information, connects to the previous lesson, and builds on their previous knowledge. It was also a strategy I used to give positive feedback to the students that they were doing well. The aspect of teaching also allowed me to gauge if students were paying attention from the previous lesson, how much information they were retaining, and what I may need to work on in the future. This was a feed-forward comment and encouraged by my supervising teacher as it modelled correct usage of the English language and supported students' English speaking skills. It is vital that EALD learners are provided with opportunities to speak publicly, drawing on their previous knowledge and in front of a supportive group of their peers. When engaging in classroom discussions with students, it was vital that I followed advice from the Victorian Curriculum and Assessment Authority, that it was important for me to encourage students to answer questions and contribute answers or talking points. My aim was to use and model correct language structure and technical vocabulary so that students with an EALD background realise the importance of a clear and concise oral communication. For a number of students, I set this as their personal goal during my time in the classroom. My challenge was to balance the students' answers with positive reinforcement while acknowledging their efforts to contribute to the learning and teaching within the context of the lesson. I supported this approach by showing interest, maintaining eye contact, listening attentively, and offering encouragement. When students contributed to discussion, I would follow these strategies, especially with positive reinforcement. Sometimes if a student took too long and my prompts weren't working, I would cut them off and answer it myself. I found with the next questions, a large part of the class became hesitant and only the confident English-speaking students were answering the questions. Feed forwarding from my supervisor was to ask a student to phone a friend and get someone else to answer it before I would cut them off. Another key aspect of the practicum was the use of a variety of learning activities to engage the students. These included the use of scaffolds and strategies that supported the students with their learning, not only to the content but also in the use of English. These aspects of the teaching allowed me to differentiate the context and nature of work along with the academic needs of the class. As a beginning teacher, this was a challenge for me, and one that I needed to draw on the experience and knowledge of my supervising teacher. The difficulty in a high school in providing student scaffolds and strategy is the nature of all learning spaces being a transitional nature, students moving from space to space. This encouraged me to use technology to provide a number of scaffolds that the students could use to support their learning. In conclusion, I believe that this experience was purely beneficial in my teaching journey. It has helped me familiarise myself with strategies and techniques to teaching students with EALD, the importance of a positive and respectful learning environment through classroom layout and interpersonal relationship with students, the importance of a detailed and prepared lesson plan to ensure you're covering relevant dot point and syllabus, and misbehaving students don't distract you and you lose your train of thought.